All right, and we've done it. We are live. Bear with me if you're on the stream already because I need to adjust the camera just a little bit. Hey everyone, how is it going? I'm so excited. I'm hopefully not going to mess up the camera tripod at all. Hey JP fanboy, how's it going? How's everyone doing? Oh, happy Monday, people. Welcome to the, hey Normal, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. We're doing it live again. This is a good tradition now. I'm happy with it. All right, let me just make sure everything on my computer looks good. How are y'all doing today? How's your Monday been? Let's see here. Looks good. So, funny story really quickly. I just cracked my beer for the night. So, I'll talk a little bit more about it in a second, / throughout the night. This is a Dogfish Head beer. I like Dogfish Head. But this beer I had never heard of, and it was sitting in the expensive part of the liquor store. And I don't ever buy from the expensive part of the liquor store because I'm a cheap skate. But they had this deal going on where you could make your own 6-pack. And so you could pick 6 different crazy beers and get a certain percentage off of the price of the beers. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea for the YouTube. For the YouTube, as the kids say. Because what you can do then is save one of those special beers for every Monday and drink it. I just cracked this one. I took a sip right before we went live. And you'll never guess what percentage alcohol, like alcohol by volume, this one is. I'm a big fan of 4 to 5% beers. Does anyone want to take a guess what percent this beer is? If you know the answer, don't cheat. Hey Sporadic, how's it going? JP says halfway through a confederacy of dunces. Ooh, you guys, you have guessed 9 and 7 so far. I hate to break it to you, this beer is 18% alcohol by volume. So, it's getting lit tonight, and apologies in advance. I'm gonna try and stay, bloody hell, Normal says. I'm gonna try and stay hydrated and sober. I'm a lightweight, so this is about 4 beers for me, so I'm gonna take it very slowly. He says as he takes another drink. Got a book today, Christopher says. Christopher, what book did you get? Also, Brandon guessed 10. Hello, Brandon. Brandon, I hate to break it to you. 18. It's gonna stay over there for a couple minutes so I can work up to it. All right. Man, it's a little chilly in my room. As we are rolling into this thing, I am going to read us some poems. This time I brought out Gary Snyder. This is an old collection of his poems that I like a lot, and I'm going to read just a couple from this. Hey Paul, how's it going? Chance asks, how is that Salinger book down there that you own on your shelf? Chance, that's a great question because I don't know the answer to it. I have not yet read it. I got that book when that big documentary came out that a lot of people watched. I think a lot of people watched it. It seemed like a big thing at the time. This was probably 2014 or 15. Yeah, I got it then, and I have not read it since then. I wanted to read his other works before I read the book. Like, I didn't want to be the person who's just read Catcher in the Rye and then read the book. So, anyways, gonna read some poems to you real quick. So, Gary Snyder's nice. He actually, he taught at UC Davis, where I got my master's degree from for a little while. Not while I was there, to be very clear, but he did teach in the poetry department there. So, this first one is called... And I turned to this one immediately when I opened the book, which is a good sign because I think I had read this. I'd flattened out the book and read this one a lot. This one is called The Late Snow and Lumber Strike of the Summer of '54. Whole towns shut down, hitching coast road, only jippos, running their beat trucks, no logs on, gave me rides. Loggers all gone fishing. Chainsaws in a pool of cold oil, on back porches of 10,000 split-shake houses, quiet in summer rain. Hitched north all of Washington, crossing and recrossing the passes, blown like dust, no place to work. Climbing the steep ridge below Shuckson, clumps of pine float out the fog, no place to think or work, drifting. On Mount Baker, alone in a gully of blazing snow, cities down the long valleys west, thinking of work, but here, burning in sun glare, below a wet cliff, above a frozen lake, the whole Northwest on strike. Black burners cold, the green chains still. I must turn and go back, caught on a snow peak between heaven and earth, and stand in lines in Seattle, looking for work. That was The Late Snow and Lumber Strike of the Summer of '54 by Gary Snyder. Hey Martzalian, what's up? We have not gotten very far into the stream. Basically what you've missed so far, reading some Gary Snyder. I'm gonna get drunk as crap on this beer because it's 18% alcohol and Ryan is a dumb boy for having bought it. So yeah, that's the general gist. All right, let's see here. Got another one picked out. This one is called Migration of Birds. It's from April 1956. Christopher says, the new book Christopher got was Blood Meridian, which I have not read. A really good friend of mine swears by the book. Yeah, I haven't read it though. You'll have to let me know. Okay, this is Migration of Birds. It started just now with a hummingbird hovering over the porch 2 yards away, then gone. It stopped me studying. I saw the redwood post leaning in clod ground, tangled in a bush of yellow flowers higher than my head, through which we push every time we come inside. The shadow network of the sunshine through its vines. White-crowned sparrows make tremendous singings in the trees. The rooster down the valley crows and crows. Jack Kerouac outside, behind my back, reads the Diamond Sutra in the sun. Yesterday I read Migration of Birds, the golden plover and the Arctic tern. Today that big abstraction's at our door, for juncos and the robins have all left. Broody scrabblers pick up bits of string, and in this hazy day of April summer heat, across the hill, the seabirds chase spring north along the coast, nesting in Alaska in 6 weeks. I like that one. It's real peaceful. How's everyone's Mondays going? Welcome to the stream. I'm having a good time so far. How are you? Let's see here. Let's see, Confederacy of Dunces. I don't think I've read that, actually. Don't think that I've read that. I don't think so. Tuesday, here now. To the second floor. To the second floor. Where are you from? Have I asked you that before? Where are you from? God, this tastes like hard alcohol, not like beer. Although it does taste a little bit like beer. It's pretty good. The Philippines. Awesome. Hello. Man, you're a brave soul for staying up this late for this ugly mug. Thanks for hanging out. Had a lecture today, some library time. Library time is the best time. Let's see. Goofing again. Yeah, JP Fanboy. Actually, you are way too smart. JP Fanboy is asking me to read a poem that I had marked for a while. Where was it? I was gonna read it, and then I found another one that I liked. I'll just read it for you. JP, this one's just for you. As soon as I can find it. It's called Goofing Again. Goofing Again. I shifted weight the wrong way, flipping the plank end over, dumping me down in the bilge, and splatting a gallon can of thick, sticky, dark red Italian deck paint over the fresh white bulkhead. Such a trifling move, and such spectacular results. Now I have to paint the wall again, and salvage only from it all a poem. I like that one a lot. Also, the language in that one is good. It's like sticky. It's tacky language. Lots of, well, he uses the word sticky, so lots of T's and K's, and it's good. What's your literary crush? Mine is Donna Tartt. It's a great question. Let me think on that one. Yeah, let me think on that one, because I'm curious about that one. Okay, one more poem, and then we'll move on. And it's because I really wanted to read this one. Last Gary Snyder poem. So we're reading Gary Snyder today. This is Hay for the Horses. He had driven half the night from far down San... I don't even know how to say that. I lived in California. I should know how to say this. San Joaquin? Joaquin? San Joaquin? Joaquin? Man, I'm so bad at languages. Thanks, Ryan. That was dope. No problem, JP. He had driven half the night from far down San Joaquin through Mariposa. I know that one. Through Mariposa, up the dangerous mountain roads, and pulled in at 8 a.m. with his big truckload of hay behind the barn. With winch and ropes and hooks, we stacked the bales up clean to splintery redwood rafters high in the dark, flecks of alfalfa whirling through shingle cracks of light, itch of hay dust in the sweaty shirt and shoes. At lunchtime, under black oak out in the hot corral, the old mare nosing lunch pails, grasshoppers crackling in the weeds. I'm 68, he said. I first bucked hay when I was 17. I thought, that day that I started, I sure would hate to do this all my life. And damn it, that's just what I've gone and done. The amazing thing about that poem, and the reason I wanted to read it, is that that is the most Indiana freaking poem in this whole book. And the book's basically California, Pacific Northwest. It's Washington too, Oregon, but like, that's the most Indiana poem I know. I've been in that barn. I've been one of the people in this poem, so I love that poem a lot. Rip Rap by Gary Snyder. It's good stuff. All right, let's see here. Didn't get a notification squad. Represent. Victor. I have no idea how the notification squads, or how the notifications work, so thanks for coming anyways. Man, you're a champ for coming anyways. Let's see here. I'm gonna turn this question around on the chat. What's your literary crush? Literary crush. I keep trying to think of mine, but I don't, honestly. Never mind, I know my answer. Zadie Smith for sure, dude. Zadie Smith is, I've told this story, I think 3 weeks in a row now on the live stream, but I got a chance to hang out with her once in a group of much larger people. To be clear, I never once talked to her individually. And the person, I'll tell this part of the story because I haven't told it before. Zadie Smith was hanging out with a class that I was in, and also our professor. Our professor, Ian Lee, who I've talked about on this live stream before, is very dope and very amazing. Like, God, I love that woman. I love her soul. She is so, yeah, she's her own person. And the only person more like Ian Lee than maybe Ian Lee herself, if that makes any sense at all, is Zadie Smith. And so the two of them in the same room together, just like firing quick jabs back and forth, was a sight to behold, and I'm happy that I was there. And I also sat in my chair, literally shaking, with my book that I wanted her to sign. So, let's see here. All right. So we got the poems done. I have an idea for this live stream that I want to... Clarice Lispector is my lit crush, without a doubt. One of my 3 favorite writers. Do I know Clarice Lispector? I feel really badly if I don't. Ooh, got a bet for Elizabeth Bishop. Fair enough. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like Emily Dickinson is a really great option too. Did I just say Emily Dickens? Oh my God, this beer is hitting me already. This is about to be really bad. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. If I don't finish this beer on this live stream, please forgive me. Please. Because this could go badly. It's so very strong. Okay, so I have 2 options for us moving forward. Last week we read part of this Changing My Mind essay by Zadie Smith about David Foster Wallace's brief interviews with hideous men. I could continue where we left off there. That is option 1. I'm gonna need some interaction in the chat. That is option 1. Option 2 is this new thing that I want to start that will take about 30 minutes, that I think will be very enjoyable, and which I will continue for the foreseeable future. Like, it will be probably every Monday for 30 minutes if we decide to do it. We have option 1, Zadie Smith. Option 2, this new 30-minute segment, which I'm not going to tell you about. What do you think? I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes in the chat to figure it out. Hey, Perks of Books, what's up? How's it going? How are you? Let's see. JP, she is in fact dope. Elizabeth Bishop is dope. Let's see here. Ooh, option 2, option 2. Murakami for the crush. JP fanboy, killing it. Okay, literally 4 of you have said option 2. So we'll give it another second, but I think option 2 is our bet. I can't wait to let you in on this. I've been thinking about this all day, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I think I will, because I'm excited for this, but I don't want it to be a letdown. Okay, literally everyone has said option 2. Cool. Now you've brought it upon yourself if you absolutely hate this. So, option 2, drumroll please, is a book that I have wanted to read for a very long time, and which it is important for me to have read. Oops, I almost showed it on the screen. As a Hoosier, as a person who lives in Indiana, I really badly want to read Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. And Vonnegut is the kind of person who his writing goes over so smoothly and so quickly that it would make for really good reading on this stream. This is my hope. Fingers crossed. Everyone's saying yes. Okay, awesome. My goal for 30 minutes, we're gonna take our time, but we're just gonna read this book. I'm gonna read it to you. Also, do you notice how my copy is ripped? This is sad. I'm so sad. Tears in the chat, please. So I'm gonna read this for 30 minutes, and then next stream, I'm gonna read the next 30 minutes. We're just gonna tackle this book one stream at a time. That's a weird way to tackle it. I don't care. If you don't make it to every live stream, that's cool too. You'll have to buy the book yourself. I'm so excited to do this. I cracked it the other day, and I looked at the first few pages, and oh my god, it's been too long since I've read Vonnegut, and I need to have read every single thing he ever wrote. So, let's see here. Okay, general excitement in the chat. Victor put actual tears down there. Okay, cool. I like it. Awesome. Let's do it. Okay. So, yeah, this happened when, in the actual shipping of the book to me, it got ripped like this. Isn't that sad? Yeah. Matt Miller says, hi. Matt, how's it going? How are you? Hope your day's going well. All right, let's do it. I'm going to read for around about 30 minutes. I'm going to take some breaks to drink some beer, talk to you guys, but we're going to do it. Since we're starting it, I guess we should read the back cover, let you know what you're in for. So, in Breakfast of Champions, one of Kurt Vonnegut's most beloved characters, the aging writer Kilgore Trout, finds to his horror that a Midwest car dealer is taking his fiction as truth. What follows is murderously funny satire as Vonnegut looks at war, sex, racism, success, politics, and pollution in America, and reminds us how to see the truth. I want to read the bio because that drawing is really pretty, and also his Vonnegut's amazing. Kurt Vonnegut's black humor, satiric voice, and incomparable imagination first captured America's attention in The Sirens of Titan in 1959 and established him as a true artist, according to the New York Times, with Cat's Cradle in 1963. He was, as Graham Greene declared, one of the best living American writers. Mr. Vonnegut passed away in April 2007. It's a crime that I didn't know his work before he passed away. So, let's see here. Who's your pride? Let's see here. Armand says hello. Hello, Armand. Hello, Armand. How are you? Let's see here. So on Slaughterhouse 5? Paul, how could you do this to me? Yeah, I don't know. I prefer Cat's Cradle. Slaughterhouse 5 is good, though, in my opinion. Kilgore is writer goals. Yeah. Pilgrim's Progress right now by Lieber Primus. Lieber, how is Pilgrim's Progress going? Yeah. Make me younger. The beginning says. Make me younger. I'll be honest, I don't know what that is. Okay, let's do it. Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. I'm going to be showing the pictures occasionally. Goodbye, Blue Monday, the cow says. In memory of Phoebe Hurdy, who comforted me in Indianapolis during the Great Depression. Okay, I'm not drunk. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. From Job, the book of the Bible. Breakfast of Champions. Preface. The expression breakfast of champions is a registered trademark of General Mills Incorporated for use on a breakfast cereal product. The use of the identical expression as the title for this book is not intended to indicate an association with or sponsorship by General Mills, nor is it intended to disparage their fine products. The person to whom this book is dedicated, Phoebe Hurdy, is no longer among the living, as they say. She was an Indianapolis widow when I met her late in the Great Depression. I was 16 or so. She was about 40. She was rich, but she had gone to work every weekday of her adult life, so she went on doing that. She wrote a sane and funny advice to the lovelorn column for the Indianapolis Times, a good paper which is now defunct. She wrote ads for the William H. Block Company, a department store which still flourishes in a building my father designed. She wrote this ad for an end-of-the-summer sale on straw hats. For prices like this, you can run them through your horse and put them on your roses. Phoebe Hurdy hired me to write copy for ads about teenage clothes. I had to wear the clothes that I praised. This was part of the job. And I became friends with her 2 sons, who were my age. I was over at their house all the time. She would talk bodily to me and her sons, and to our girlfriends when we brought them around. She was funny. She was liberating. She taught us to be impolite in conversation, not only about sexual matters, but about American history and famous heroes, about the distribution of wealth, about school, about everything. I now make my living by being impolite. I am clumsy at it. I keep trying to imitate the impoliteness which was so graceful in Phoebe Hurdy. I think now that grace was easier for her than it is for me because of the mood of the Great Depression. She believed what so many Americans believed then, that the nation would be happy and just and rational when prosperity came. I never hear that word anymore, prosperity. It used to be a synonym for paradise, and Phoebe Hurdy was able to believe that the impoliteness she recommended would give shape to an American paradise. Now her sort of impoliteness is fashionable, but nobody believes anymore in a new American paradise. I sure miss Phoebe Hurdy. Let's see here. All right, I'll get some more questions here in a second. As for the suspicion I express in this book that human beings are robots or machines, it should be noted that people, mostly men, suffering from the late stages of syphilis from locomotor ataxia were common spectacles in downtown Indianapolis and in circus crowds when I was a boy. Those people were infested with carnivorous little corkscrews which could be seen only with a microscope. The victims' vertebrae were welded together after the corkscrews got through with the meat between. The syphilitics seemed tremendously dignified, erect, eyes straight ahead. I saw one stand on a curb at the corner of Meridian and Washington Streets one time, underneath an overhanging clock which my father designed. The intersection was known locally as the Crossroads of America. This syphilitic man was thinking hard there, at the Crossroads of America, about how to get his legs to step off the curb and carry him across Washington Street. He shuddered gently, as though he had a small motor which was idling inside. Here was his problem. His brains, where the instructions to his legs originated, were being eaten alive by corkscrews. The wires which had to carry the instructions weren't insulated anymore, or were eaten clear through. Switches along the way were welded open or shut. This man looked like an old man, although he might have been only 30 years old. He thought and thought, and then he kicked 2 times like a chorus girl. He certainly looked like a machine to me when I was a boy. I tend to think of human beings as huge, rubbery test tubes, too, with chemical reactions seething inside. When I was a boy, I saw a lot of people with goiters. So did Dwayne Hoover, the Pontiac dealer who is the hero of this book. Those unhappy earthlings had such swollen thyroid glands that they seemed to have zucchini squash growing from their throats. All they had to do in order to have ordinary lives, it turned out, was to consume less than 1/1,000,000th of an ounce of iodine every day. My own mother wrecked her brains with chemicals, which were supposed to make her sleep. When I get depressed, I take a little pill and I cheer up again. And so on. So it is a big temptation to me, when I create a character for a novel, to say that he is what he is because of faulty wiring, or because of microscopic amounts of chemicals which he ate or failed to eat on that particular day. What do I myself think of this particular book? I feel lousy about it, but I always feel lousy about my books. My friend Knox Berger said one time that a certain cumbersome novel, quote, read as though it had been written by Phil Boyd Studge. That's who I think I am when I write what I am seemingly programmed to write. This book is my 50th birthday present to myself. I feel as though I am crossing the spine of a roof, having ascended one slope. I am programmed at 50 to perform childishly, to insult the Star-Spangled Banner, to scrawl pictures of a Nazi flag and an asshole and a lot of other things with a felt-tipped pen, to give an idea of the maturity of my illustrations for this book. Here is a picture of an asshole. Here is my picture of an asshole. There's this picture of an asshole. Hold the phone. I forgot to plug in my phone. It's about to die. Give me 2 seconds. Must plug in the phone. Must not let the stream die. How are we liking the book so far? I'm gonna read some comments really quickly. Oh my god. Again, I'm gonna try and do this without completely knocking everything to shit. Oh no. I think I did it. Have you ever read Richler? Richler? Armand, I do not know what book that is. Lieber is reading Pilgrim's Progress, which is really crappy, but he has to finish it once he starts it. I feel you. I feel you. This book was the first that introduced me to the idea of hard determinism. Alas, to say it depressed the hell out of me for a few weeks at least. Yeah, I feel you. Oh man, the chat is being so supportive. Y'all are supporting other people reading and quitting books if they feel like it and not. I love that. Marshall, hello, how are you? Gonna go study for 2 different exams. God, I don't miss school. I actually do miss it a little bit, so enjoy it while you are in it. Marshall, you're killing it. You're killing the game. Go study for your exams. We're gonna be reading more of Breakfast of Champions. Okay. I think I am trying to clear my head of all the junk in there. The assholes, the flags, the underpants. Yes, there is a picture in this book of underpants. I'm throwing out characters from my other books too. I'm not going to put on any more puppet shows. I think I am trying to make my head as empty as it was when I was born onto this damaged planet 50 years ago. I suspect that this is something most white Americans and non-white Americans who imitate white Americans should do. The thing other people have put into my head, at any rate, the things other people have put into my head, at any rate, do not fit together nicely, are often useless and ugly, are out of proportion with one another, are out of proportion with life, as it really is outside my head. God, I feel that sentence. I have no culture, no humane harmony in my brains. I can't live without a culture anymore. So this book is a sidewalk strewn with junk, trash which I throw over my shoulders as I travel in time back to November 11th, 1922. I will come to a time in my backwards trip when November 11th, accidentally my birthday, was a sacred day called Armistice Day. When I was a boy, and when Dwayne Hoover was a boy, all the people of all the nations which had fought in the First World War were silent during the 11th minute of the 11th hour of Armistice Day, which was the 11th day of the 11th month. It was during that minute in 1918 that millions upon millions of human beings stopped butchering one another. I have talked to old men who were on battlefields during that minute. They have told me in one way or another that the sudden silence was the voice of God. So we still have among us some men who can remember when God spoke clearly to mankind. Armistice Day has become Veterans Day. Armistice Day was sacred. Veterans Day is not. So I will throw Veterans Day over my shoulder. Armistice Day I will keep. I don't want to throw away any sacred things. What else is sacred? Oh, Romeo and Juliet, for instance. And all music is. That's the end of the preface. It is signed Phil Boyd Studge. This is a tale of a meeting of two lonesome, skinny, fairly old white men on a planet which was dying fast. This is chapter 1. One of them was a science fiction writer named Kilgore Trout. He was a nobody at the time and he supposed his life was over. He was mistaken. As a consequence of the meeting, he became one of the most beloved and respected human beings in history. The man he met was an automobile dealer, a Pontiac dealer named Dwayne Hoover. Dwayne Hoover was on the brink of going insane. Listen, Trout and Hoover were citizens of the United States of America, a country which was called America for short. This was their national anthem, which was pure balderdash, like so much they were expected to take seriously. Excuse me. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I was not going to sing it, in case you were wondering. I debated it for 2 seconds. Apparently, I would need a lot more than an 18% alcohol beer. There were 1 quadrillion nations in the universe, but the nation Dwayne Hoover and Kilgore Trout belonged to was the only one with a national anthem which was gibberish sprinkled with question marks. Here is what their flag looked like. It was the law of their nation, a law no other nation on the planet had about its flag, which said this: the flag shall not be dipped to any person or thing. Flag dipping was a form of friendly and respectful salute, which consisted of bringing the flag on a stick closer to the ground, then raising it up again. The motto of Dwayne Hoover and Kilgore Trout's nation was this, which meant, in a language nobody spoke anymore, out of many, one, e pluribus unum. The undippable flag was a beauty, and the anthem and the vacant motto might not have mattered much if it weren't for this. A lot of citizens were so ignored and cheated and insulted that they thought they might be in the wrong country, or even on the wrong planet, that some terrible mistake had been made. It might have comforted them some if their anthem and their motto had mentioned fairness, or brotherhood, or hope, or happiness, had somehow welcomed them to the society and its real estate. If they studied their paper money for clues as to what their country was all about, they found, among a lot of other Baroque trash, a picture of a truncated pyramid with a radiant eye on top of it, like this. Not even the President of the United States knew what that was all about. It was as though the country were saying to its citizens, in nonsense is I couldn't say it with a straight face. In nonsense is strength. A lot of the nonsense was the innocent result of playfulness on the part of the founding fathers of the nation of Dwayne Hoover and Kilgore Trout. The founders were aristocrats, and they wished to show off their useless education, which consisted of the study of hocus pocus from ancient times. They were bum poets as well. But some of the nonsense was evil, since it concealed great crimes. For example, teachers of children in the United States of America wrote this date on blackboards again and again and asked the children to memorize it with pride and joy. 1492. The teachers told the children that this was when their continent was discovered by human beings. Actually, millions of human beings were already living full and imaginative lives on the continent in 1492. That was simply the year in which sea pirates began to cheat and rob and kill them. Here was another piece of evil nonsense which children were taught, that the sea pirates eventually created a government which became a beacon of freedom to human beings everywhere else. There were pictures and statues of this supposed imaginary beacon for children to see. It was sort of an ice cream cone on fire. It looked like this. Ice cream cone on fire. Actually, the sea pirates who had the most to do with the creation of the new government owned human slaves. They used human beings for machinery, and even after slavery was eliminated, because it was so embarrassing, they and their descendants continued to think of ordinary human beings as machines. The sea pirates were white. The people who were already on the continent when the pirates arrived were copper-colored. When slavery was introduced onto the continent, the slaves were black. Color was everything. Here is how the pirates were able to take whatever they wanted from anyone else. They had the best boats in the world, and they were meaner than anyone else, and they had gunpowder, which was a mixture of potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur. They touched this seemingly listless powder with fire, and it turned violently into gas. This gas blew projectiles out of metal tubes at terrific velocities. The projectiles cut through meat and bones very easily, so the pirates could wreck the wiring or the bellows or the plumbing of a stubborn human being, even when he was far, far away. The chief weapon of the sea pirates, however, was their capacity to astonish. Nobody else would believe, and could believe, until it was much too late, how heartless and greedy they were. When Dwayne Hoover and Kilgore Trout met each other, their country was by far the richest and most powerful country on the planet. It had most of the food and minerals and machinery, and it disciplined other countries by threatening to shoot big rockets at them or to drop things on them from airplanes. Most other countries didn't have doodly squat. Many of them weren't even inhabitable anymore. They had too many people and not enough space. They had sold everything that was any good, and there wasn't anything to eat anymore, and still the people went on fucking all the time. Fucking was how babies were made. A lot of the people on the wrecked planet were communists. They had a theory that what was left of the planet should be shared more or less equally among all people who hadn't asked to come to a wrecked planet in the first place. Please put that on my gravestone. I didn't ask to come to a wrecked planet in the first place. Meanwhile, more babies were arriving all the time, kicking and screaming, yelling for milk. In some places, people would actually try to eat mud or such on gravel while babies were being born just a few feet away, and so on. Dwayne Hoover's and Kilgore Trout's country, where there was still plenty of everything, was opposed to communism. It didn't think that Earthlings who had a lot should share it with others unless they really wanted to, and most of them didn't want to. So they didn't have to. Everyone in America was supposed to grab whatever he could and hold on to it. Some Americans were very good at grabbing and holding, were fabulously well-to-do. Others couldn't get their hands on doodly squat. Dwayne Hoover was fabulously well-to-do when he met Kilgore Trout. A man whispered those exact words to a friend one morning as Dwayne walked by. Quote, "Fabulously well-to-do." And here's how much of the planet Kilgore Trout owned in those days. Doodly squat. And Kilgore Trout and Dwayne Hoover met in Midland City, which was Dwayne's hometown, during an arts festival there in autumn of 1972. As has already been said, Dwayne was a Pontiac dealer who was going insane. Dwayne's incipient insanity was mainly a matter of chemicals, of course. Dwayne Hoover's body was manufacturing certain chemicals which unbalanced his mind, but Dwayne, like all novice lunatics, needed some bad ideas too, so that his craziness could have shape and direction. I love you, Vonnegut. Real quick before I continue, I'm going to look at some comments and give my voice a break. How are we doing? How's everyone doing? Are we enjoying this so far? Let's see. Oh my goodness, there appears to be a debate about whether or not Stephen King is good. Ah, Sadie, what's up? Sadie showed up. How's it going? How's your last week been, Sadie? Okay, I'll be honest. Valentina is here. Hello. There are a lot of comments, and I can't respond to them all. Marzalian says, Vonnegut would have wanted you to sing it, aka the Star Spangled Banner. Yeah, well, Vonnegut's rolling over in his grave then. Normal says, I was once in a mental hospital with a guy that really liked Kilgore Trout. That's amazing because I was once very drunk with a guy. We were talking about our mental health, and I don't know how to tell this story very well. Basically, we were both pretty drunk. I was thinking about how we were talking about all kinds of other stuff, basically our mental health history, but I was thinking about how I was definitely the craziest person in the room, and then he proceeded to show me that he was the craziest person in the room by some of the things that he said, and he was a big Kilgore Trout fan, so I had a very similar and weird experience, it turns out. Yeah. Dude, Sadie. Sadie has had a really bad last week. If the chat could give her some love, I would massively appreciate that. Sadie, I have had a really shit week too. It's been a really bad week. Just lots of family stuff going on. Turns out for mental stability, not a great decision is quitting your job. I'm actually doing okay. I'm feeling pretty good about that one. The family thing, less good. So I hope that you're doing okay. Sending love your way. Yeah. Hope that Vonnegut cheers you up a little bit. There's a discussion on Player Piano. I haven't read Player Piano. I want to. Jose Saramago. What are his main novels? Justin says. Justin recommends Jose Saramago. Because I feel like I've read some, but I don't. Nothing's coming to mind right now. Okay, I'm going to get back into it. We've got another 10 minutes of this. I'm going to do 30 minutes of this. So, what did the guy say to convince you that he was the craziest? I'm not going to repeat the things that he said. It's a great question, though. I'm not going to repeat the things that he said. Nope, not going there, Okay, back to this. The last sentence was, but Dwayne, like all novice lunatics, needed some bad ideas too, so that his craziness could have shape and direction. Bad chemicals and bad ideas were the yin and the yang of madness. Yin and yang were Chinese symbols of harmony. They looked like this. The bad ideas were delivered to Dwayne by Kilgore Trout. Trout considered himself not only harmless, but invisible. The world had paid so little attention to him that he supposed he was dead. He hoped he was dead. But he learned from his encounter with Dwayne that he was alive enough to give a fellow human being ideas which would turn him into a monster. Here was the core of the bad ideas which Trout gave to Dwayne. Everybody on Earth was a robot, with one exception, Dwayne Hoover. I like where this is headed. Oh no. Let's see here. Of all the creatures in the universe, only Dwayne was thinking and feeling and worrying and planning and so on. Nobody else knew what pain was. Nobody else had any choices to make. Everybody else was a fully automatic machine whose purpose was to stimulate Dwayne. Dwayne was a new type of creature being tested by the creator of the universe. This paragraph hurts my heart. Only Dwayne Hoover had free will. Trout did not expect to be believed. He put the bad ideas into a science fiction novel, and that was where Dwayne found them. The book wasn't addressed to Dwayne alone. Trout had never heard of Dwayne when he wrote it. It was addressed to anybody who had happened to open it up. It said to simply anybody, in effect, hey, guess what? You're the only creature with free will. How does that make you feel? And so on. It was a tour de force. It was a... I'm so bad with my French. Jeu d'esprit. Does anyone know French? How bad was that? Scale of 1 to 10. 0 to 10. But it was mind poison to Dwayne. It shook up Trout to realize that even he could bring evil into the world, in the form of bad ideas. And after Dwayne was carted off to a lunatic asylum in a camisole, Trout became a fanatic of the importance of ideas as causes and cures for disease. But nobody would listen to him. He was a dirty old man in the wilderness, crying out among the trees and underbrush, ideas or the lack of them can cause disease. Kilgore Trout became a pioneer in the field of mental health. He advanced his theories, disguised as science fiction. He died in 1981, almost 20 years after he made Dwayne Hoover sick. He was by then recognized as a great artist and scientist. The American Academy of Arts and Sciences caused a monument to be erected over his ashes. Carved in its face was a quotation from his last novel, his 209th novel, which was unfinished when he died. The monument looked like this. It says, Kilgore Trout, 1907 to 1981, quote, "We are healthy only to the extent that our ideas are humane," end quote. This is good so far. All right, I'm going to start chapter 2. I don't know if we'll finish it, but... Dwayne was a widower. He lived alone at night in a dream house in Fairchild Heights, which was the most desirable residential area in the city. Every house there cost at least $100,000 to build. Every house was on at least 4 acres of land. Dwayne's only companion at night was a Labrador retriever named Sparky. Sparky could not wag his tail because of an automobile accident many years ago, so he had no way of telling other dogs how friendly he was. He had to fight all the time. His ears were in tatters. He was lumpy with scars. Oh my God, that's so sad. Dwayne had a black servant named Lottie Davis. She cleaned his house every day, then she cooked his supper for him and served it. Then she went home. She was descended from slaves. Lottie Davis and Dwayne didn't talk much, even though they liked each other a lot. Dwayne reserved most of his conversation for the dog. He would get down on the floor and roll around with Sparky, and he would say things like, "You and me, Spark," and "How's my old buddy?" and so on. And that routine went on unrevised, even after Dwayne started to go crazy, so Lottie had nothing unusual to notice. Kilgore Trout owned a parakeet named Bill. Like Dwayne Hoover, Trout was all alone at night, except for his pet. Trout, too, talked to his pet. But while Dwayne babbled to his Labrador retriever about love, Trout sneered and muttered to his parakeet about the end of the world. "Any time now," he would say, and high time, too. It was Trout's theory that the atmosphere would become unbreathable soon. Trout supposed that when the atmosphere became poisonous, Bill would keel over a few minutes before Trout did. He would kid Bill about that. "How's the old respiration, Bill?" he would say. Or, "Seems like you've got a touch of the old emphysema, Bill." Or, "We never discussed what kind of a funeral you want, Bill. You never even told me what your religion is," and so on. He told Bill that humanity deserved to die horribly, since it had behaved so cruelly and wastefully on a planet so sweet. We're all Heliogabalus, Bill, he would say. This was the name of a Roman emperor who had a sculptor make a hollow life-size iron bull with a door on it. The door could be locked from the outside. The bull's mouth was open. That was the only other opening to the outside. Heliogabalus would have a human being put into the bowl through the door, and the door would be locked. Any sounds the human being made in there would come out of the mouth of the bowl. Heliogabalus would have guests in for a nice party, with plenty of food and wine and beautiful women and pretty boys, and Heliogabalus would have a servant light kindling. The kindling was under dry firewood, which was under the bowl. Trout did another thing, which some people might have considered eccentric. He called mirrors leaks. It amused him to pretend that mirrors were holes between two universes. Yeah, that amuses me too. God, that's funny. If he saw a child near a mirror, he might wag his finger at a child warningly and say with great solemnity, "Don't get too near that leak." This was a way of saying that the speaker intended to drain liquid wastes from his body. Oh my God, I just completely skipped lines. Excuse me, I'm a little bit tipsy on this beer, apparently. Don't get too near that leak. You wouldn't want to wind up in the other universe, would you? Sometimes somebody would say in his presence, "Excuse me, I have to take a leak." This was a way of saying that the speaker intended to drain liquid wastes from his body through a valve in his lower abdomen. And Trout would reply waggishly, "Where I come from, that means you're about to steal a mirror," and so on. By the time of Trout's death, of course, everyone called mirrors leaks. That was how respectable even his jokes had become. In 1972, Trout lived in a basement apartment in Cohoes, New York. He made his living as an installer of aluminum combination storm windows and screens. He had nothing to do with the sales end of the business, because he had no charm. Charm was a scheme for making strangers like and trust a person immediately, no matter what the charmer had in mind. Dwayne Hoover had oodles of charm. I can have oodles of charm when I want to. A lot of people have oodles of charm. The reason I'm reading it so slowly is that there's 3 dots between. There's a page break between every one of us. Trout's employers and coworkers had no idea that he was a writer. No reputable publisher had ever heard of him, for that matter, even though he had written 117 novels and 2,000 short stories by the time he met Dwayne. He made carbon copies of nothing he wrote. He mailed off manuscripts without enclosing stamped, self-addressed envelopes for their safe return. Oh my god, that makes me panic inside. Sometimes he didn't even include a return address. He got names and addresses of publishers from magazines devoted to the writing business, which he read avidly in the periodical room of public libraries. He thus got in touch with a firm called World Classics Library, which published hardcore pornography in Los Angeles, California. They used his stories, which usually didn't even have women in them, to give bulk to books and magazines of salacious pictures. They never told him where or when he might expect to find himself in print. Here is what they paid him. Doodly squat. They didn't even send him complimentary copies of the books and magazines in which he appeared, so he had to search them out in pornography stores. And the titles he gave to his stories were often changed. Changed. Pan-Galactic Straw Boss, for instance, became Mouth Crazy. Most distracting to Trout, however, were the illustrations his publishers selected, which had nothing to do with his tales. He wrote a novel, for instance, about an earthling named Delmore Skagg, a bachelor in a neighborhood where everyone else had enormous families. And Skagg was a scientist, and he found a way to reproduce himself in chicken soup. He would shave living cells from the palm of his right hand, mix them with the soup, and expose the soup to cosmic rays. The cells turned into babies which looked exactly like Delmore Skagg. Pretty soon, Delmore was having several babies a day and inviting his neighbors to share his pride and happiness. He had mass baptisms of as many as 100 babies at a time. He became famous as a family man, and so on. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just going to finish this chapter. It's probably another 8 minutes, but I'm going to finish the chapter. I know I said I'd stop at 30 minutes. I'm not going to. Skagg hoped to force his country into making laws against excessively large families, but the legislatures and the courts declined to meet the problem head-on. They passed stern laws instead against the possession by unmarried persons of chicken soup, and so on. The illustrations for this book were murky photographs of several white women giving blowjobs to the same black man who, for some reason, wore a Mexican sombrero. At the time he met Dwayne Hoover, Trout's most widely distributed book was Plague on Wheels. The publisher didn't change the title, but he obliterated most of it and all of Trout's name with a lurid banner which made this promise: wide open beavers inside. A wide open beaver was a photograph of a woman not wearing underpants and with her legs far apart so that the mouth of her vagina could be seen. The expression was first used by news photographers who often got to see up women's skirts at accidents and sporting events and from underneath fire escapes and so on. They needed a code word to yell to other newsmen and friendly policemen and firemen and so on, and to let them know what could be seen in case they wanted to see it. The word was this: beaver. A beaver was actually a large rodent. It loved water, so it built dams. It looked like this. The sort of beaver which excited news photographers so much looked like this. This was where babies came from. When Dwayne was a boy, when Kilgore Trout was a boy, when I was a boy, and even when we became middle-aged men and older, it was the duty of the police and the courts to keep representations of such ordinary apertures from being examined and discussed by persons not engaged in the practice of medicine. That sentence is very clever. Very clever. Basically, he's saying, that's a whole argument on censorship in that one sentence. It was somehow decided that wide-open beavers, which were 10,000 times as common as real beavers, should be the most massively defended secret under law. Yeah, he's so good with censorship stuff. So there was a madness about wide-open beavers. There was also a madness about a soft, weak metal, an element which had somehow been declared the most desirable of all elements, which was gold. And the madness about wide-open beavers was extended to underpants when Dwayne and Trout and I were boys. Girls concealed their underpants at all costs, and boys tried to see their underpants at all costs. Female underpants looked like this. One of the first things Dwayne learned in school as a little boy, in fact, was a poem he was supposed to scream in case he saw a girl's underpants by accident in the playground. Other students taught it to him. This was it. I see England, I see France, I see a little girl's underpants. When Kilgore Trout accepted the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1979, he declared, "Some people say there is no such thing as progress. The fact that human beings are now the only animals left on Earth, I confess, seems a confusing sort of victory." Those of you familiar with the nature of my earlier published works will understand why I mourned, especially when the last beaver died. There were two monsters sharing this planet with us when I was a boy, however, and I celebrate their extinction today. They were determined to kill us, or at least to make our lives meaningless. They came close to success. They were cruel adversaries, which my little friends the beavers were not. Lions? No. Tigers? No. Lions and tigers snoozed most of the time. The monsters I will name never snoozed. They inhabited our heads. They made the arbitrary lusts for gold. They were the arbitrary lusts for gold, and, God help us, for a glimpse of a little girl's underpants. I thank those lusts for being so ridiculous, for they taught us that it was possible for a human being to believe anything, and to behave passionately in keeping with that belief, any belief. So now we can build an unselfish society by devoting to unselfishness the frenzy we once devoted to gold and to underpants. He paused, and then he recited with wry mournfulness the beginning of a poem he had learned to scream in Bermuda when he was a little boy. The poem was all the more poignant since it mentioned two nations which no longer existed as such. I see England, he said. I see France. Actually, women's underpants had been drastically devalued by the time of the historic meeting between Dwayne Hoover and Trout. The price of gold was still on the rise. Photographs of women's underpants weren't worth the paper they were printed on, and even high-quality color motion pictures of wide-open beavers were going begging in the marketplace. There had been a time when a copy of Trout's most popular book to date, Plague on Wheels, had brought as much as $12 because of the illustrations. It was now being offered for $1, and people who paid even that much did so not because of the pictures. They paid for the words. The words in the book, incidentally, were about life on a dying planet named Lingo 3, whose inhabitants resembled American automobiles. They had wheels, they were powered by internal combustion engines, they ate fossil fuels, they weren't manufactured though. They reproduced. They laid eggs containing baby automobiles, and the babies matured in pools of oil drained from adult crankcases. Lingo 3 was visited by space travelers who learned that the creatures were becoming extinct for this reason. They had destroyed their planet's resources, including its atmosphere. Oh God. The space travelers weren't able to offer much in the way of material assistance. The automobile creatures hoped to borrow some oxygen and to have the visitors carry at least one of their eggs to another planet where it might hatch, where an automobile civilization could begin again. But the smallest egg there was a 48-pounder, and the space travelers themselves were only an inch high, and their spaceship wasn't even as big as an Earthling shoebox. They were from Zeltoldamar. The spokesman for the Zeltoldamarians was Kago. Kago said that all he could do was to tell others in the universe about how wonderful the automobile creatures had been. Here is what he said to all those rusting junkers who were out of gas. You will be gone, but not forgotten. The illustration for the story at this point showed two Chinese girls, seemingly identical twins, seated on a couch with their legs wide open. So Kago and his brave little Zeltoldamarian crew, which was all homosexual, roamed the universe, keeping the memory of the automobile creatures alive. They came at last to the planet Earth. In all innocence, Kago told the Earthlings about the automobiles. Kago did not know that human beings could be as easily felled by a single idea as by cholera or the bubonic plague. There was no immunity to kaku ideas on Earth. And here, according to Trout, was the reason human beings could not reject ideas because they were bad. Ideas on Earth were badges of friendship or enmity. Their content did not matter. Friends agreed with friends in order to express friendliness. Enemies disagreed with enemies in order to express enmity. The ideas Earthlings held didn't matter for hundreds of thousands of years, since they couldn't do much about them anyway. Ideas might as well be badges as anything. They even had a saying about the futility of ideas. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. And then Earthlings discovered tools. Suddenly, agreeing with friends could be a form of suicide, or worse. But agreements went on, not for the sake of common sense or decency or self-preservation, but for friendliness. Earthlings went on being friendly, when they should have been thinking instead. And even when they built computers to do some thinking for them, they designed them not so much for wisdom as for friendliness. So they were doomed. Homicidal beggars could ride. Oh my god. Pardon me for a second while I drool all over that. That's the end of chapter 2 of Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. Thank you for bearing with me for that. That was 40 whole minutes of reading. Wow, that was really good. God, I'm feeling very conflicted right now. That was really good. Was that not really good? Am I alone in this? That was really good. I'm at risk of just drowning in the nonsense that I'm reading. God. Sadie says, I read really serious, sad, heavy literary fiction mostly. I rarely read humorous stuff. I need to read more of it. Yeah, agreed. The only really funny thing, Pilking was funny a little bit. The only really funny thing that I've read in the last couple months was David Sedaris, which I had the same feeling reading him, that I was like, oh man, this is funny, and I should listen to funny stuff more often. Like funny smart, not just funny, but funny smart. Like I feel in a lot of ways speared by that last paragraph of Breakfast of Champions. Like parts of that are really, really smart and witty and have me kind of pinned against the wall. Yeah. I'm gonna catch up with some comments real quickly. Read some Heller, Martzalian says. Heller. Joseph Heller? Catch 22? I have read that. Were you talking to me? Were you talking to chat? Lieber, Lieber, first off, am I saying your name correctly? Second off, what poetry are you getting into recently? Give us some recommendations. Normal says that was brilliant. Yeah, it was really, God. I have a whole nother Vonnegut book down there that I haven't even opened. And I'm kicking myself right now for that fact. All right, it's gonna scroll back through some comments. Bear with me for just a second. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Let's see here. This really is weird, like says. Yeah, it was weird. God, it was weird. It was so quick, though. It has, like, it's got momentum. It's got lots of momentum. It's, like, topsy-turvy. There's so many page breaks. I mean, I'm a big fan of writing that jumps all over the place, uses time / space on the page to its advantage. JP Fanboy is driving now. I hope that you're driving safe. Vonnegut was ahead of his time, man. Victor says, yeah. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Potentially my best friend in the entire world, Stephen Batchelder, just commented, I really hope the YouTube gods don't delete your account for showing wide open beavers on your channel. Yeah, agreed, man. Agreed. I really hope so. Fingers crossed. Hope you're well, Steven. Steven, I miss you, man. Also, Steven, my phone is being stupid and it doesn't receive messages from non-iPhone users right now. And so if you have tried to message me in the recent past, I apologize profusely. I know I'm terrible at keeping in contact even more so than most people. With this phone thing, it's been really bad. So yeah, scrolling back through Sadie's responses to the reading is really good. So let's see here. A like says, my brother convinced me that perfect circles were a portal to another dimension and that when you put your hand or finger through one, your finger on the other side was in fact not your own. That was his, oh my God, that's really good. I'm gonna steal that. Also, apologies, definitely a little tipsy. Definitely a little tipsy. That's what happens when you drink, in case you missed it, that's what happens when you drink a literal 18% beer. I am almost done with it. I'm feeling it. It's cool. I'm having a good time. I hope you are too. Let's see here. Is the Pale King funny? Parts of the Pale King are funny. Parts of it are depressing as hell. That's all I'll say about that. Parts of it are really funny. Parts of it. There's a chapter where the character Lane Dean is sitting at his desk doing his work. And that chapter I cried through pretty much constantly. So that's good. Let's see here. Robert Frost, Walt Whitman. I have read most of Leaves of Grass. Leaves of Grass is really good. I actually haven't finished it though, which is a problem. I need to. Contemporary poet Mark Waldron, Normal says. Mark Waldron, okay. Normal, is there one poem that I should read? Let me know. Sharon Olds, Anne Sexton. I've read some Anne Sexton, very good. Should I start Infinite Jest? Yep, the answer is yes. Normal says the answer is always yes, yeah. Let's see here. The beer is really good. So the first couple sips were very strong. It's gotten better as I drink more of it, which is the sign of something with lots of alcohol in it. Oh man, we've been going for an hour already. Let's see here. Oh, okay, so everyone hold the phone. Megan is a pirate. Hello, Megan is a pirate. Hope you're doing okay. Says, kind of going through some grief stuff right now and wondering if you have any poetry you recommend. I've really been loving Marie Howe, Ada Limon, and Adrienne Rich lately. Have you heard of any of them? Have you read any of them? So, to answer your question in a few different parts. First off, I have Ada Limon's book, Bright Dead Things. Is that what it's called? Bright Dead Things? On this bookshelf somewhere. And I've seen her read 2 or 3 times in person. And Ada Limon is better than we deserve in 2018. I am heartened every hard day. I am heartened by the fact that Ada Limon is still alive and still writing poems. That's how much I love her. Adrienne Rich I have not read enough of, and I feel really bad about that. I need to. Good poems for grief, or good poets for grief. I know I read him a lot on this channel. I do firmly believe that Ross Gay is... There's a poem by Ross Gay called Spoon that you shouldn't read. You should have Ross Gay read it to you by Googling Ross Gay Spoon. And there's I think it's an Indiana Review website that has an audio clip of Ross Gay reading the poem Spoon, which is to his friend who passed named Don Belton. And whenever my girlfriend and I need we're having an emotional night and you need some kind of, catharsis, that's a really good one. Spoon by Ross Gay. Yeah. That's all I got to say. I hope that you're doing okay. Send and love your way. Let's see here. Any tips on writing college essays? Do you have a writing center at your college? And if so, can you get an appointment? I worked at the writing center for 3 years, and I believe very firmly in the good that writing centers do. Yeah, there are people who are trained to kind of walk you through what you're doing and to not write your essays for you or come up with ideas for you, but to kind of help you frame the problems that you're having and therefore help you see solutions. If you don't have a writing center, this is going to sound really stupid, but do your best to be honest. I think a lot of bad college writing, it starts from the premise of writing to what the professor needs to see, or writing to this idea of a certain level of knowledge or expertise, when I think one of the best marks of a good piece of college writing includes a reference to what you don't know, or what you wish you knew, or what the literature doesn't show. I mean, depending on the topic. But basically, acknowledge what you don't know and what you do. So, let's see here. Adrian Rich, yeah. God, I need to read more. It's the thesis of every live stream. I need to read more. Read The Stick by Mark Waldron. Beautiful, quirky poem about the nature of existence. Okay, I want you to know, normal, that I'm taking your recommendation very seriously, and I'm going to open another tab. I'll read it as soon as the stream is over. The Stick by Mark Waldron. Cool. Also, other people are giving Megan good recommendations. Let's see here. Is it ironic that you were reading Man's Search for Meaning at this time, at this moment? Christopher has a good question. I am reading Man's Search for Meaning. In fact, right before I started the stream, I was reading more Man's Search for Meaning, and there was a section that was really, really good and had me feeling very deeply, and it put me in the right headspace for what happened today with the Vonnegut. So, college admissions essays. I mean, I think honesty still goes a long way. Yeah, I don't know so much about admissions essays. I'm probably the wrong person to ask. Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts? College admission essays? Ooh, okay, I have not read Ada Lamone's most recent poetry. I'm going to have to get into it. Steven is killing the game in the comments with his advice on how to write a college essay. I haven't read Sound and the Fury, Victor, so I don't actually know. Also, Lieber says, quote unquote, you won't get all the references in Ulysses. Yeah, that's true. I don't know what exactly he or she is referring to, but that's true. Yeah, I mean, I read the book over an entire semester with another book to read alongside it, and I did not get probably 50% of the references. And then you've got Finnegan's Wake, which you're really not going to understand. So, making peace with failure is my recommendation on how to read Joyce, or some of the hard writers at all. Let's see. How are we doing? Was that good? So, debriefing really quickly on the Vonnegut thing. Was that good for people? Would you mind if I read 30 minutes of that, maybe 2 chapters a night, every live stream, and we just kind of tackle that book one live stream at a time? Got a thumbs up from a like. Cheers, a like. Thank you. That was good. Okay, people like that. Man, so it's really tough to... I'm learning something about this live stream thing, which is that it's tough. Certain kind of writing is very tough to read aloud and hopefully keep people interested. And some writing is just really good for that. Vonnegut is super short, kind of like clippy, which is really nice. So, but also, I mean, you know, smart and deep, and yeah. So yeah, that's the plan. Now we're going with this. We're gonna read Breakfast of Champions, one live stream at a time, baby. One live stream at a time. We're finishing this book. I also promised myself that I would do a thing today, which was tell you how many pages that we read on live stream as we're reading them, so that you know how many pages we read today, and if you want, you can tag along. So, or you can count them towards your pages. So we read 4 pages in Gary Snyder's. Where is my book? I'm losing my mind. Gary Snyder's Rip Rap and Cold Mountain Poems. Steven, if you weren't here for this part, you missed it, man. We talked about Gary Snyder. I know you love Gary Snyder. 4 pages in that, 28 pages in Breakfast of Champions. So 32 pages for the day. Let's see here. Little Boy and the Old Man by Shel Silverstein is a cute and sad poem. I'm gonna have to look that one up too. Steven says, can you send us the beers you plan to drink so we can drink along with you? I can do my best. I was talking about this earlier where I just like picked some random 6 beers. I'll show you maybe in a video here soon what beers I'm gonna be drinking for the next live streams. I've got myself set up for like 5 live streams from now. Alike, I have no idea how seriously to take you. But you said, if this gets any bigger, I might have to bail. I liked Ryan before it was cool. First off, I've never been cool. So, hey, how's that? Second off, this is good. Actually, going this late at night is actually one of the smaller streams in terms of the number of viewers and stuff. Last time we had, at one point, we had almost twice this many people on the stream, which is nuts. This is still, I mean, I'm never going to complain. This is a good amount of people. Sadie says, Ryan, random question. Do you follow literary prizes, the National Book Award, or the Booker Prize, Man Booker Prize? So curious if anyone nerds out about them like I do. So I have in the past. Lieber says in the comments that they do. I have in the past, but I haven't in the last year or 2. Yeah, I should probably do more of that. I also spent a good chunk of the last year not engaged in book communities. I was still reading, but I wasn't engaged in communities. So that's probably half the battle, is that I was not as engaged as I could have been. So, yeah. Martzalian says, we've been with Ryan through multiple hiatuses, winky face. Yeah. I apologize for those hiatuses. God, thank God for people who still want to hang out after multiple hiatuses. I still feel guilty every single time, but also I did what I had to do. So, it's 3 p.m. where Victor is. It is 10 p.m. where Lieber is. What else do we have? Anyone else from other time periods? Steven is in Arizona, so that's what, 2 hours ahead of here? It's 8:20 p.m. there. Normal says it is 2 a.m. Normal. You have an abnormal sleeping strategy, and I am thankful and grateful for you. Namaste, my friend. Time period. Okay. Sadie's making fun of me because I'm definitely drunk on this beer. It's called a time zone. I apologize. I called it a time period. That is how close I am. Now I'm it's like right here. Now I'm so close, I feel like I have to finish this beer on the live stream because I've gotten really close. 18% beer for the freaking win. Ryan, you ever read philosophy instead of lit? There's a good amount of existential philosophy on this bookshelf. I also read a lot of Kant. I took like 4 philosophy courses in undergrad. Almost had a philosophy minor. It was 1 class away. I adore philosophy. Yeah, I mean, is that any surprise? Like, I feel like I'm that person who reads stuff and then I try and take it to a philosophical level way too much. And that is actually one of my like faults as a reader, is that sometimes I stray away from the text. Okay. So I'm going to wrap this stream up in the best way. We're at 80 minutes in, and I should probably get this thing done. So I'm going to read some more. We have been reading in the past. Heidegger is bae, JP says. I have not read any Heidegger. I've read summaries of Heidegger. I've read like critical thought on Heidegger, but I've not read Heidegger myself. So I've read a ton of Camus, Sartre, however you say these freaking names. I'm going to mispronounce them all. Kant. Yeah. The existential stuff, big surprises, one of my favorites. I have been reading in the past from a short story from this anthology, New American Stories, edited by Ben Marcus, which came out a couple years ago, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, with a whole lot of really good contemporary writing that I thought really surprised me. Scratch that, it came out in 2015. I'm going to read very quickly a story from that that we haven't read so far. This one, I say quickly, it's probably about 10 pages long, but it is quick reading. You'll see why here in just a second. It's got some cool formatting stuff going on. So this is a short story called Play by Matthias, man, I don't know how to say that name. Matthias Svalina. It's called Play. I'm gonna read this real quick. It happens in this kind of list form. For instance, the first section is called Hide and Go Seek, in parentheses, for 2 or more players. Little children tend to disappear, especially if there are large trees, tall grass, or white canvases nearby. One child is born it. That's with a capital I. He covers his eyes with his palms and counts to 10. When he uncovers his eyes, he sings, "A bushel of wheat, a bushel of rye. If you're not ready, close your eyes." The weakest children will close their eyes and return home where they will never be allowed to open their eyes again. The it child seeks out everything that has been hidden. He digs in the earth, he combs through the clouds, he strips the bark from the trees, and he skins all the animals. When he finds another child, he shouts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and then names the one that he has found. He covers his eyes with his palms again and counts to 100. When he wakes up, the other children have grown up and are driving their cars into the lakes, surrounded by millions of fireflies. Drop the handkerchief for 7 or more players. Children must be taught not to play favorites. One child is born it. The it child carries a clean white handkerchief with him wherever he goes. When he comes upon a circle of children, he runs around the circle and drops the handkerchief behind one of the children. That child must run in the opposite direction around the circle of children. The children hold hands and refuse to allow either the it child or the chosen child to stop running. These two continue running for the rest of their lives. There is one child who is born inside the circle, which is called the mush pot. This child also has a clean white handkerchief and must take turns looking into the eyes of each of the children while showing each the handkerchief. The handkerchief was left for the mush pot child by his father, whom he has never met. His father drives a bright blue car and can be seen working at the candle factory 5 nights a week. Crossing the brook for 2 or more players. If you draw 2 lines on the asphalt about 2 feet apart, then a brook will spring up between the lines. Children will then run in groups and try to jump the brook. They will scream as they are running. They will scream as they are jumping. If they land in the brook, they must run home and change their stockings. The successful jumpers are guided into a white bus and driven to wider and wider brooks. The last child to make a jump is the winner. Those that fall into the brooks must run home to change their stockings. But they are so far from home, and the driver of the white bus will not speak for them. There is a light in the forest. Is that a distant fire, or the buttery windows of a warm farmhouse? It is difficult to tell from here, where the sleet has just begun to fall. Animal chase for 5 or more players. 2 bases are marked off at either end of America. Each child takes the name of an animal. One child is it. He stands in the center of America and writes newspaper columns about the decline of America. He starts a radio show and becomes tremendously influential. He begins to see himself as no longer it, but the voice of the people. When he goes to sleep at night, his mother tucks him in and whispers, "Sweet dreams, voice of the people." When his father drops him off at school, he calls out, "Have a great day, voice of the people." The animals lurk in the darkness of the forest, in the shadows of the demolished factories. When stray children pass the shadows, they pounce on them. Licking the blood from their claws and beaks, they whisper to themselves, "I am animal." I am animal. When the first game ends, all children trade names, and a new child becomes it. Ball chase, for 4 or more players. For this game, a row of red caps may be set against a wall or a fence. A series of holes may be dug in the ground. A number of circles may be drawn. A line of hoops may be used. A line of fighter pilots may lead from the sacristy to the altar. A stack of books may catch fire in the basement. A circle of priests may cough up wet flags. A group of boys may hide in the coat closet. A set of cars may crash together in the middle of the intersection. A troop of dancers may be sent in to rescue them. A flock of birds may dive bomb the stained glass window. A pocket full of change may spill over the intersection. A child may drop her popsicle in the middle of the sun-hot street. There may be a red ball. There may be a bird you cannot see with an extraordinarily loud song. There may be a gown, blouse, or shirt hanging from the iron gate. Each child may be happy, morose, or distracted. There may be many children circling a dry well. There may be one child at the top of a dead elm tree. There may be songs, lit candles in the elbows of the branches, or a pile of gasoline-soaked rags in the corner of the garage. There may be lines of sugar down the playground dirt. There may be piles of toy trucks in a freshly dug pit. There may be sunlight, so much sunlight every child must squint, must hold her hands up to the sun to block the light out, must step forward without being able to see. Making jam, for 1 or more players. Making jam is for the quietest boy in the class. One day he wears a white sack over his head and ties it tight at his throat. The students in his class all begin to notice him and smile. The next day he paints his entire body the color of the walls. The students gather their plastic chairs around him and patiently watch. The next day he removes his arms and legs and replaces them with abstract nouns. He hides his arms and legs in a mop closet where no one will find them. At this point he is no longer shy. The other students call him new names that they make up as they go along. The county government awards him an award that comes with a large silver medal. The medal is so large that he must remove his torso and replace it with the medal. When the students look at him, they are blinded by the shine of the medal. When birds fly by him, they get confused. After he is elected governor, the boy remembers his arms and legs, but when he opens the mop closet door, he sees that each arm and leg has grown into a full person. They all look similar to him, but none of them look exactly like him. Jiggle the handle, for 2 players. One child is the hunter, and one child is the knife. One child is the ocean, and one child is the sliver of metal stuck in the pad of the thumb. One child screams with pleasure, and one child holds a heat, flaccid candle. One child bears the pain, and one child stares at the spinning rims on a shining Toyota. Why wash your hair? Why brush your teeth? Why do anything at all? Bedtime approaches, and bedtime passes, and the elm tree retains its moonlit silhouette. The taste of candy is sweeter than a dream about styrofoam. A black velvet bag could contain anything, but you should never stick your hand inside it. It looks like war, for 16 or more players. One child is taller than the other children. One child is the smallest. The child with the darkest skin does not sit beside the child with the shiniest shoes. The child with the longest hair does not like the child with the longest name. The children gather in a circle and sing. Weak man, poor man, blind man, wife. There are no wounds when there is no knife. Strong man, rich man, priest or king. Every city looks sacred when it is burning. The light refracting through broken bifocals can start a fire in the scattered newspapers. The soldiers outside the gates drain blood from their horses and drink it with black pepper. This is the most Halloween thing I've ever read. You're welcome. Everything costs $20 for 6 or more players. Everything costs $20. Everything breaks the moment after you buy it. Everything stacks in the corners, the blinds curl from your fingerprints, the rubber is hard. 6 grapes beside the kitchen sink wrinkle. What amphitheater? What color of skin? The money rings and rings, the gunshots can be heard from blocks away. Paper planes fall from the roof of the factory as the school children scamper this way and that. Microphones grow from the tips of the drought-dead trees. Each child picks a paper plane from a puddle. Everything was broken before you bought it. Everything is listed on the window. Speak into the microphones so that the children can hear you. Give your ticket to the teacher to exit the classroom. The clock is fast. No, the clock is broken. The lights begin flashing. The children run from the alarms. At home, the children eat their suppers with the TV on. When their mothers ask, "How was school?" they say, "Okay." Broken Kate for 6 or more players. The only way to break a Kate is to attach a lockbox to its wrists and send it out to search for the lost sheep. The sheep wander all across America and they hide behind stumps and metal mailboxes. The sheep wander so far away from one another that they forget they are sheep and they begin to look at their large stones and think the stones are televisions. They begin to look around for the remote, but instead only find the remote that dims the dining room lights. The only way to protect the sheep is to hold them in your arms as you would a fragile cuckoo clock. There are so many ways to drown. There are so many bridges. One child backs another into a corner and stares. The teacher walks over with the lock boxes. Her shoes squeak on the linoleum. The fluorescent flutter of sweat and the scent of dry erase boards. Teacher's earrings jingle. Teacher's shoes squeak. Oh, Kate. Oh, Kate. I am so sorry. Tail End Charlie. There's 2 more games left. This is the second to last one. Tail End Charlie from 4 or more players. The night before they go in behind enemy lines, the children write their names on their chests with permanent markers. They write their names on their shoes with grease paint. They carve hearts into the plaster beside their beds and cram them full of initials. The children fall asleep repeating their names to themselves. They discover new names inside their names. The new names are the names the ghosts will have. They knot little nooses of dental floss around the names and tie them to their pinkies. The machine gun bursts splashes in the sand as if flaying it with whips. I'm going to read that sentence again because that is, wow, that sentence. The machine gun bursts splashes in the sand as if flaying it with whips. The sky is so blue that someone will have to give it a name like Tom or Beginning. One of the children finds that his gun is made of ice. Another child finds that his gun is made of dried dirt. A third child finds that he is the gun and he cannot stop killing. In Pittsburgh, the children are burning the federal buildings tonight. Pop Goes the Weasel for 4 children and an audience of voters. One child must come from a family that sleeps in the caves. One child must come from a family that sleeps underground. One child finds a hollow tree and fills it with the stuffed animals he steals from the supermarket trash bins. One child bites into a donut and breaks his front teeth on a piece of sea glass. The children decide which child is it, and the it child must run for president. The it child walks into crowds of thousands, shaking hands with all the men and kissing the cheeks of all the women and rubbing perfumed oils on the foreheads of the babies. He must appear on TV and pretend like there is no camera in the room. He says words, and then some of the members of the audience of voters repeat the words. Other members of the audience of voters go home and rewire their radios. When the it child is assassinated backstage after a speech, the other children write books about the it child. They appear on radio talk shows and discuss the mystery of the it child. They drop a bucket full of pennies into the dryer and listen to them clatter. Whew. And that was Play by Matthias something. Svalina. Matthias Svalina. And that was... $10 pages as well. Oh, yeah, that was heavy, somebody said. I couldn't agree more. That was heavy. Sadie said, I liked it very much. Hey, Sam Vought's in the chat, or at least Sam Vaught was in the chat. Hey, Sam, how's it going? Missed the intro. What's the reading from? Stephanie, that was Play by Matthias Svalino. Basically, we've been reading one short story from this anthology per night, per live stream. And that was this week's version. Excuse me. 18% beer is giving me the burps. Is there noon in that water bottle? Luke says. Hello, Luke. No, Luke, there is not noon in this water bottle. There is just water. Although, it is made by Noon, and it should have noon in it. Lorca. Who's talking about Lorca? I haven't read Lorca. Let's see here. Catching up on some comments. Stephanie Controls is looking for recommendations. She loves Khalid and Lorca. Let's see here. Super interesting story. I agree. I like the stories that do a lot with form. What is Noon? Alike says, Noon is basically like an electrolyte replenishment drink. I probably will have one as soon as this live stream is over so that I am less hungover tomorrow, because that is what an 18% beer will do to me. Holy crap, we've been going for 96 minutes. Justin Lance, tell me more about the books that Jose Saramago has written, because I may have missed your comment earlier in the night. Alright guys, that was the last thing that I'm reading for tonight, so we're just going to kind of chat, look at some comments real quick, and then call it a night. I hope that you had fun. This was good for me. I'm really a big fan of the reading from Breakfast of Champions that we did. That was good. It also gives people a kind of like larger narrative arc for the live streams over time. Come check out everyone. We'll read some from Breakfast of Champions. Together we will get this book done. Yeah, that's good. Oh, my girlfriend is now in the chat. Hey, Megan. She says, don't get dehydrated, which is funny because I am massively afraid of being dehydrated. Hey, Megan, what you've missed while you were at work is that I am drinking, I'm very close to finishing, an 18% alcohol by volume beer. What the heck? I bought some beer at the grocery store. Turns out this one had 18% alcohol, and yeah. Martzalian, thanks so much for coming. I appreciate you coming and hanging out. Megan says, oh, you're drunk. Hey, thanks, Megan. So glad you could come stop in the live stream. Justin says, blindness and the gospel according to Jesus Christ. Why do I feel like I've read Saramago, but I don't know? I'm going to have to do some research on this, Justin. Come back to another live stream. We'll talk about it, because I feel like I've read Saramago, but I don't. Neither of those ring a bell. Potentially blindness. Potentially I've read that. Don't know. Don't know. Ah, cool. Stephanie says, first time seeing your videos. I think they're fantastic. When's the next live stream? Stephanie, every single Monday we're going to do this. This is the thing I've decided to do with my life for now, is do one of these every Monday. Hang out with you guys. I like the live stream because I get to directly answer questions. It's not this weird, big internet gap between when I make a video and what y'all say about it and what y'all think about it. For instance, this is a thing you should know about me. Every day I wake up, I get some comments on my YouTube videos, including videos that I made literally 4 years ago. And I think about responding to them, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not a dialogue, because I made this video 4 years ago, and I don't even believe half of the things I said in it, or I believe a more complex version of the thing that I said very badly in this video. So that's what it's like to be a YouTuber. When you do a live stream, though, you get to kind of hang out with people in real time. You hopefully talk about the same stuff. You get to ask how their Monday is going, which is such a banal question, but is also very valuable to me in getting to actually spend time with people. It's really cool. The barrier is so much less. In the Beginning asks, what essay by David Foster Wallace should I start with? I'm a noob. A supposedly fun thing I'll never do again is a really great starter essay. I like that one a lot. The #1 piece of advice people give to aspiring writers is to just write or to write more. Do you have any useful advice besides this? I think that ideas are a dime a dozen. I think any single one of us in the chat has great ideas for a really good short story or something funny to write or etc. Something that would make a really good novel someday. I think that none of us are... I think that very, very few writers are... Very, very few humans who think that they could be a very good writer are as willing to spend time in the chair as they maybe should be. Basically, I think that there is this... We've all got ideas. The really hard part of writing is sitting down in the chair every single day and devoting some time to those ideas and to letting them flourish. I am personally really bad at this. It's been about a week since I have written for pleasure, and that makes me very sad. I think my best advice for aspiring writers is to write for pleasure, to spend time in the chair facing a blank page, trying to make those ideas work on the page. I think having ideas is easy. I think sitting in the chair with those ideas and being bored with them and trying to focus on them, that's a whole nother thing. So. You're very cool, Ryan. Like Snoopy cool. Like, I have no idea. Like Snoopy from the cartoons? Like Snoop Dogg? I really hope I'm not Snoop Dogg cool. Yeah. Thank you. Have you ever read Leaving Atocha Station by Ben Lerner? No, but what is the other... Normal asked that question. What is the other Ben Lerner book that I've heard of? Oh my god. It's making me go a little crazy. Ben Lerner... There's a Ben Lerner, I think a book about writing that I have heard a lot about, but I haven't read. Sadie, once again, says something very smart, which is that journal. You should journal a lot. Journaling is very good. Yeah, I agree. I'm a way happier person when I journal. Agreed. Snoop is cool. I just, also Snoop is high 90% of the time. So I hope I'm never backed into that corner. Snoop is cool, actually, though. I like a lot of Snoop songs. Snoop's music. Okay, I'm going to call the live stream there. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. We're over an hour and 40 minutes in, and when I started this live stream tonight, I was not in a great mood. And it had been a really tough emotional day, mental health-wise. And now I'm sitting here at the end of the live stream wishing that I could make it continue for longer, except for the fact that I have run out of material to talk to you guys about, and anyways, we'll have this next Monday. So thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. For real. You've made my Monday better. Much love. I will see you guys in a video tomorrow. We're doing all kinds of stuff on the channel about the Hunt for Red October. If you've seen those, that's great. If you haven't, come check out some of the videos. So thanks so much for hanging out, guys. I will see you guys in a video here soon. Best wishes. Let's see. Bye.